Hello, everybody. This is Tammy, Texas Desert Rose. And boy, what a way to end 2025, which I'm going to say it. It's been a little bit of a shit show. It seems like I've been saying it at the end of every year lately, but I mean, yeah. And what a way to end. Happy New Year to you guys. And to end this school year on Texas school year. That's out of habit. To end this year for Texas Desert Rose, I have somebody who I think is a perfect way to go out and to welcome the new year of 2026. Um, I've known Cheri for 25, 30 years. So a few years, right, Cheri?
Yeah, a few years.
And she has graciously agreed to come on and share her what I call Phoenix, her overcoming and surviving so many things. I'll let her tell you a little bit more. Welcome, Cheri.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me. And I'm trying to think of the how long I have known you. I don't know when I first met you. I know I've known Lori since her daughter was about 3 years old.
hmm
So that's what, 24 years, 25. I think it's longer than that, to be
I think
honest.
it's longer than that, honestly.
So you want to share just an overview and we can deep dive on some of these things. I know we
Okay.
only have an hour, and it's usually plenty for most guests because it can be a little bit exhausting and vulnerable to share about your life. And thank you for being willing to do that. Um, When I first met you, you want to kind of paint a picture of where your life was at that time, if you can remember? You're like, oh, just a small little
Yeah,
thing.
let's just jump right in. No, my
Yeah.
life was absolutely in shambles. I kept trying, but I was an addict and an alcoholic and didn't, when I first met you, wasn't. I would have periods or bouts of sobriety, you know. Um, I think
Long-terms
when
of
I
sobriety.
first, yeah, when I met, and it would be a couple years at a time. And when I say bouts of sobriety, I mean, I still drank during those times because I didn't know that I had a problem with alcohol. But I knew I had a problem with drugs. And I had a criminal record that went on for miles. And
Related to drug use or just in
related
general?
to drug use.
Okay.
My former boss laughs at me, or used to laugh at me and tell me that it's funny that I have a criminal record that people don't even get arrested for these days. Because
Sign of the
the
times, right?
majority of it, it was hot checks. I was running checks, and
Oh
you
my
know, I
gosh.
had miles and miles of, and each one was a criminal. I spent the majority of my 20s in and out of jail and prison, bouncing back and forth from Denton and Dallas County and then to prison, and you know. Um, but when I met you, I was uh, during a point where I was trying to get my sobriety, or I was trying to get my life back together. Um, and I was trying to, find a career and go to college, and I was a young single mom. Um, and I was working two jobs, and I was working at the college in between classes, and just took on a full schedule, but I didn't have any um during all the years that I've known for years, I didn't have any sort of I wasn't working any type of program. I had no solution to my problems. I just had problems. Yeah.
And not that you're blaming others, but I'm from working with addiction and certainly growing up in it and family members that have it, would you find that people are often would stand back and judge rather than guide? Like, how are you supposed to know these things? Yeah.
I I think I was very angry at the time. I was very angry because I didn't have support from anybody. I didn't have, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
at the time, like while I was in it. Um, but today I'm grateful. I'm
oh, you
grateful
have to
for the
be.
people that told me no. I'm grateful for my dad who would not let me come home.
The
If you were
boundary setters.
messing up, yeah, if you were messing up, you were messing up. Like, and yeah, my dad had this like sink or swim mentality, which kind of sometimes, was annoying. But
It
uh
can be difficult, but with addiction, for
yeah,
those who are listening who are either struggling with this, and I know we'll get to this, but or they have family members who are struggling with it, you're saying, I am grateful for those that set the boundaries with me.
yes, I am. My sister, I don't know how many times my sister told me no or wouldn't have anything to do with me. You know what I mean? I was
That's
jealous
a
of her
special
for,
relationship to you.
yeah, I was jealous of her for years. And like, I thought she just thought she was better than me. And, we have this mentality well, it's everybody else and not me. But I have, worked in the treatment industry for the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And um, like I see so many people coming in that their families and are just um, they just encourage the behavior. You know what I mean? And uh,
Without even realizing it sometimes that they are.
no, yeah, and it's like just let them. They're like, and they want so bad to help them, and I get that, but I'm like, all you can do. Like I had to tell, I told a mother the other day, like, all you can do is hope she gets arrested at this point. You know what I mean? Like, that's better than the alternative. But, um, I spent so many years being angry and blaming everybody else for my issues.
Would you agree to this related to what you're saying? I've heard the saying that it's not just say for alcohol per se. It's not a drinking problem, it's a thinking problem. And it sounds like the thinking process was they're judging me, they're not there for me. Like in the midst of the addiction, it's easy to have that thought process and to be so angry.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Your first response is to blame everything else. And you take on that victim mentality. And, it's always what everybody else is doing, not what I'm doing, right? And it's easier that way because that way I don't have to look at my own faults and my own struggles and figure out why I am the way that I am. You know what I mean? It's easier to look at everybody else and go, well, if you were a better parent or if you were, a better sister or if, you would stop judging me, if you would stop, doing all of these things, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be this way, which is so untrue, you know? The truth is, I'm the one with the problem, right? And I have no solution. I was struggling with addiction, um, and I have no solution. And until I find a solution, I'm then,
When you have no solution, and what is it? Water rises to its own level,
yeah,
meaning the very thinking that has you in the continued addiction is what holds you back. How are you supposed to know?
yeah. I mean,
My
I can
favorite
tell
saying
you,
is, you come into this world, how are you supposed to know?
yeah,
Who's going to tell you?
yeah, and I knew by the time I was 18 that I was an addict. I didn't understand why. I couldn't understand why. Didn't understand why. And as the years went on, like I thought if I could just stay away from the drugs, right? If I can just stay away from the drugs, I'll be fine, right? But and like I said, I didn't know that I had that I was an alcoholic too. Even though I was really bad at drinking, like I like the hard liquor. I like, whiskey. I like tequila. I
You
didn't know
got the job done
how.
fast.
Yeah, I didn't know how to just have one or two.
Right.
I didn't, but I had seen alcoholics and I thought because I didn't have the withdrawals, right?
Hmm.
Um, I could do without it. And I thought because of that, I wasn't an alcoholic. It didn't apply to me, right? Um, and even though I couldn't just drink one, I had to drink like the whole bottle. I look at
Yeah.
people who are normal drinkers and they just sit around and have a glass of wine every once in a while. And I'm like,
Damn normies.
yeah, I know. Like, I think at one time I had just gotten out of jail or treatment one and I was at my sister's house and I think y'all had all come over and I know, y'all would get together once a year or something and have somebody would bring a bottle of wine. The bottle would never even get finished. The glasses were, and I'm like, how dare they? You know, how dare they? And I'm looking at these glasses going, man, that would be gone, and I
Well, in these
remember
last few
getting,
years, I'd say give me a straw.
And I remember getting angry too. And I think I took off and walked around the block and I realized, you know what? Their problem isn't my problem. They're not the ones with the issue. Um,
Which can be more isolating.
yeah, it can be. But I spent, like I said, to back up a little bit, like I would literally walk into bars and people would go, "Oh, Cheri, not tonight," because
They literally say that.
there was always drama. There was always fights. There was always, something that I was getting into. And so then I would either just get mad and go to another bar. Once I started drinking, like the attitude came out and the, anger came out. And I would take it out on everybody that didn't deserve it. But it wasn't until I was able to admit that I had a problem with alcohol too, that I was able to find freedom. Um,
Do you mind me asking your drug of choice? I mean, obviously it morphs if that's not around, but
yeah, so I mean, I went through a period of I mean, I'm pretty much I'll do whatever you put in front of me. I
okay.
like up instead of down. I like to be up instead of down.
Okay. Happy drunk, happy
Yeah.
addict, I guess.
So
Haven't heard that
uh
term before, but
like I never really got into pills or I've done heroin, I've done um usually I did heroin when I was on a mission, and that was usually a suicidal mission.
okay.
Uh, but it was mostly methamphetamines, crack cocaine. I'll be the first to tell you I'm a crackhead. Um,
Now that you say that, from this side of the fence, which often was as therapist, but also with family and all that, and I've gone to meetings to try to understand. I was married to a recovering addict. Um, I noticed that there's a pecking order between needle, between what you put up your nose,
mhm.
between pills, between alcohol. And I love that saying, a drug is a drug is a drug.
Yeah.
But do you subscribe to that, or what are your thoughts on that?
I no, I'm a huge believer that like a drug is a drug, right? I don't care if it's something that you're getting from the convenience store up the street that claims that
Mad
it's
dog.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kratom, the I don't care what it is. Some of that stuff is more harmful than
Oh
you know
gosh.
what I mean? And so I'm a big believer that a drug is a drug. Today I watch what I put in my body. If I don't have to put it in my body, I'm not going to. Um, I hate taking medicine. I hate, if I don't have to take it, I don't want to take it. Um, when I go to the doctor today, if they prescribe me something that, um, I usually just I ask for something non-narcotic just because even though like I don't pills were never my thing. I never really that was one that like I understand the addiction behind it. It just wasn't
Sure.
my thing. Um, I always had to take more than everybody else. And, I was born with epilepsy, so
Ah, yes.
yeah. And so I do have to take medication for epilepsy every night. And I think because of that medication, it gave me a higher tolerance, and I never could understand the whole pill. What's the whole excitement about it? But everything started out as just fun. Like you're just a kid, just partying. And I started at a really young age and I think, by the time I was 18, was into IV drug use. And then, I got out of that. And then, I went back to um smoking crack and got away from the meth and you know what I mean? And it's funny the way that
Mhm.
your mind, the things that you tell yourself, the lies that you are willing to tell yourself. You know what I mean? Oh,
The
it
delusion.
won't be as bad this time, or I'll just smoke crack instead of meth because it's so much better. You know what I mean? It's not. It's not. Uh,
It's the first step all over again,
yeah.
like the idea that you can control it.
Yeah. And that was the thing, or I'll just, I can just spend $20 and I that's what I started noticing when I think I was well into my 30s before I started noticing like I could go a few years just drinking, you know what I mean, and be
Mhm.
fine. And those years I thought I was sober because I wasn't doing drugs and but then I would hit that certain drunk and it wasn't enough. Eventually, it got to where it wasn't enough, and those time spans got shorter and shorter. It was like once I put the drug or the drink into my body, those time spans got shorter and shorter, and every time I lost everything. Like I
Yes, like you go
lost,
hard.
yeah, I
In my
go hard.
in my outside observation, which I didn't hear everything, but your sister loves you so, so, so much.
She's a
And,
brat.
she is a brat. So, when you would use, you would go
Yeah,
hard, like you said, on a mission. But when you get clean, man, you're like a chameleon. I mean, not a chameleon, a phoenix.
yeah.
I remember you working out at the or going to NCTC when I
Mhm.
worked there. And just like, not only did you overcome, man, you would shine with your grades and how hard you would work and everything else. And it
Yeah,
was always great to have you back, so to speak, to be
yeah.
able to have connection with you and stuff.
But yeah, I was always one that I would like I lose it all. The
Yeah,
car, the house, the job, you know what I mean? And it's funny because I can think back over the years how, gradually like at one point in my life I was a functioning addict. I could hide it. I could go to work. I could, and you
oh,
know what I
good.
mean? And it would be a year before anybody even noticed. And then it got to a point where no. If I'm calling in, I'm not, or you won't see me. I'm off to the races. I'm not coming home. You know what I
Which
mean?
is not you,
I'm
like
gone for a week. Yeah,
in
I've had,
sobriety, you go hard.
yeah,
You
like I've,
work hard, you solve everything. Like you're such a human doing in a lot of ways.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
My very first AA meeting I ever walked into, I remember, I think I was in my mid 20s, and I walked into an AA meeting, and didn't know anything about 12 steps. I didn't know anything. I just knew that
right.
I had a problem and I was drowning. And I walk in and I didn't speak to anybody. I'd never opened the book. I sat in the back of the room. And if I'd have just stayed for that meeting, you bet I didn't. This
Scary.
man gets up on the stage and he had 27 years. And I remember it like it was yesterday. He had 27 years of sobriety. And the first words out of his mouth were, "You will never recover." And I remember thinking, well, shoot, I'm screwed. Like, why am I here then?
It was
You
an
know,
excuse to walk out, right?
it was an excuse to walk out. I
I
got
wonder
up.
if no matter what he said, like if
I
the
don't
brain's
know.
looking for that reason, you
Yeah.
know?
But today, knowing what I know now, I know that what he was saying, because
Absolutely, you know.
yeah, like
You say it.
I'm not like I do consider myself recovered. As a matter of fact, January 3rd, I celebrate 10 years, which is an
A
absolute
miracle.
miracle for me. This year is a big year for me. I'll be 50. Never thought I'd make it that far. I get to celebrate 10 years. I'm in double digits. The first few years of being sober after my last relapse, it was just like, I've been here before, you know? Now it's like, man, and then they started getting up there, and I'm like, you know what? You need to be celebrating. It doesn't matter how many years you have, you need to be
Huge.
celebrating. You're alive and you have freedom, and you are worth celebrating. And,
You are worth celebrating. You are worth
yeah, I
celebrating.
am worth celebrating.
Well,
But
and what I like to tell people that I mean this with, and I mean this with you, you're inside your body, so you don't get the benefit of knowing what it's like to be around you. And so I celebrate you, but also even when you're at your most difficult, a lot of invitations to be sad, and I know you have your emotions and stuff, but you're pretty joyful. You're pretty
usually,
joyful.
I try to be. I mean, I can be a little grumpy, but
Of course. Hello.
I can be a
Wow.
little hard to read sometimes. Some people think that I'm in a bad mood or that but those who know me know that I try not to complain a lot.
You
Um,
don't. You are not a victim. And not that
I,
those who have complaints are victims, but you like push that so far away.
yeah.
In fact, I would be willing to bet that, and I'd like to know, I want the audience to know what kind of work you do. I bet you do not tolerate somebody going into victim mode at all.
No, I don't. I've been in the treatment industry for the past 4 years. I currently work for a women's treatment center.
Helping other addicts.
Yeah, I um have chose to dedicate my life to helping addicts. I This past year I graduated with an associate's in LCDC. I still haven't
Ooh,
done my
not
intern.
easy.
Yeah, no, I still haven't done my internship or anything like that. It's kind of this year, it's been kind of a roller coaster, but um,
How many
I,
hours do you have to do now for LCDC? It used to be 2,000, then they pushed it to five, and then I
I think
forgot.
it's 4,000,
They
if I
moved it
remember
down
right.
because you have
Yeah,
to have a degree now, right?
yeah, I think it's 4,000 hours you have to have, if I'm remembering that correctly.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I run 5 women's sober living houses right now, and man, women are hard.
They are very complicated, very difficult, the ability to
Yeah,
mind screw. But you know what? If I'm going to mind screw, I do not want you in charge of me because you're going to see right through it and you're going to hold me accountable.
yeah. And sometimes though, it's like it's really easy to forget to sit there and go, man, how could you? Or what were you thinking? And I'm like, I know exactly what you were thinking. You know what I mean? I
That's
remember
it.
those feelings. I remember those days. I've been there. But um,
You
I'm
have a
just
reputation, Cheri. Let
I
me
do. I
tell
can be
the,
a little mean. I can come off a little mean, but it's
well,
with
you know
good
what?
intention.
I don't experience you that way at all, but I will tell you. I'm going to tell the story about when I would come in from out of country. I would be up at, midnight, wide awake at midnight. And so the one place that was open is Denny's. So I would go to Denny's to have coffee and whatever and get to know, the servers and stuff. And several knew you because you used to work there. I would mention you and they'd be like, "Oh." And I knew automatically they had been in treatment without them
Yeah.
even telling me. No judgment here, but because I was just like, Cheri doesn't put up with anything.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's from your first statement when we started this. The boundary setting and holding you accountable is exactly what's going to get you there.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't ask anybody to do anything that I haven't done myself.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And nothing surprises you.
I know how hard it is. I know what it's like to have to rebuild your life from the ground up, but I can tell you from experience one, like if you're not doing it, I don't care how many kids you have. I don't care if your family or CPS or whoever is or the judge is down your back, threatening you. To get sober. Like if you're not doing it for you, for yourself, you will never get there. You will never get there. Like you have to put yourself first. And I learned that with my whole heart. And funny story. So before all these drug courts and stuff, started,
Yeah.
my last relapse, I caught charges. I had gotten arrested again. Oh my gosh, bottles of alcohol. I had all kinds of stuff. Anyways, Um, and I still need to go find the police officer and make an amends to him. But I got arrested. So
What'd you get arrested for? Do you mind painting that picture?
had gotten arrested for possession.
Okay.
And he could have upped the charges to man, he could have upped the charges because I had so many different drugs and baggies and all kinds of things on me and then like I lied through my teeth as soon as we pulled up the police station. He said, "You stashed anything in my car?" And I looked at him and I went, "Nope," and I sure did.
He
um
knew it or he wouldn't have asked. He would have
yeah,
looked.
yeah, and of course he brings it all in, and then he had already found some in my purse and because I had it all over the place and I had even had bottles of liquor, like everything. um so he could
You're
have upped
good.
the charges. But it had been years since I had caught charges on anything. And so the DA, it took forever for the court to go through. Denton County DA was adamant. They were absolutely adamant about sending me to prison. She's no, she's a repeat offender. Like they weren't coming down, and I had the best lawyer there was. And they were refusing.
They weren't budging.
No, they were not budging. And I had Judge Brody Shanklin. And
Woo!
yeah, yeah, he does not play.
No, he doesn't.
But they went ahead and let me do, and I was a general manager for Denny's at the time. Um, and the
Oh,
way this whole thing played out was, I'm telling you, it was a whole godsend. Um, because I kept every time I went to court, they were like, "Nope, we're not budging. Nope, we're not budging." Judge went ahead and let me do a probation interview. I had this couple that used to come into my restaurant all the time,
wow.
like weekly. They would come in and I couldn't even really tell you their names. I knew their faces. You know what I mean? Him and his wife, and they were so nice and didn't matter how busy we were. I always took the time to stop and talk to them, and they were always so patient. Well, I
You're an
show up
angel.
to this probation interview, and out comes my customer. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm mortified. I'm so embarrassed. I'm mortified. I go
Ashamed.
walking in, and he's like, let me check to make sure we're not violating anything ethical. I don't think because I know you, but I don't know you,
Like he worked there
Yeah,
or
he worked there. He was the one doing my probation interview.
oh,
So he goes to his boss and says, she works at the restaurant, tells her the story, whatever. Boss is like, yeah, you're fine. We do this interview, and this guy is shocked because I'm sitting here. He's like, so how do you feel about the charges that you've gotten arrested for? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? To me, God did for me what I couldn't do for myself. Because what people didn't know, what the cop didn't know, what the lawyer doesn't know, what nobody knows is that I was on a mission to kill myself. But I didn't have the courage to do it myself. Not even 5 minutes before I walked out to get into the car, I'm inside the dealer's house, my drug dealer's house, and I look at him and I just kind of, sit on the couch and I'm like, man, what am I doing? What am I doing? Because in 3 short months, I had 4 years of sobriety, of freedom, like real sobriety. And I lost it all, burned it all down in 3 short months. And I'm standing there and he's looking at me. This dealer's looking at me. I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, I get up and I walk out of the house or go to get in the car and I get arrested. God did for me what I couldn't do for myself.
your angels were getting your attention.
That cop didn't, again, nobody knew this, but the guy at the probation office, he's like, really? And he was like, and I'm like, yeah, like, I'm grateful. You know what I mean? Like to me, like everything happened the way that it was supposed to, and I'm grateful because like I kept trying and I kept trying to take myself out and it just wasn't working. Um, but was at a place where I literally was at rock bottom and I wanted my life to be over and I told him all that. Well, anyway, so the very last day in court, I'm walking in the courtroom, I call my mother and I'm like, hey, if you don't hear from me in a couple of hours, you know why, right? So I walk into the courtroom that day and they're arguing. They're all up there arguing over,
At
why
the
I
bench.
should or shouldn't go to prison and blah, blah, blah. And
Ooh,
Judge Shanklin, he asked the probation officer, he says, can I see that form again? And so he's reading over the notes of the transcript from my probation interview. And he calls me up to the stand. I go up there and he says, you know what? He said, I should send you to prison. He said, but today's your lucky day. I'm going to give you a chance. He said, so he gave me 5 years probation. Let me tell you, I have never been able to complete even 6 months probation, much less 5 years. He said, if I ever see you in my courtroom again, I will put you in prison for no less than 10 years. I said, yes, sir. So I completed that 5 years probation. I also got to work or got to uh, go up and shake his hand. My last job, I had the opportunity to go up and shake his hand um, and thank him and tell him what he did for me, knowing he wouldn't remember me. And I said, I've wanted so many times to come sit in your courtroom just to be a smart aleck. And he was like, you can come in my courtroom anytime. Uh,
I think for your 10 year, you should.
yeah. So it was I saw him last week. I was at the drug court last week, but so I got to say hi to everybody, but
As a therapist, by the way,
um, but it was just
boy, the tides have turned
yeah, it's
because,
it's an amazing feeling.
well, it's not only that, what you're probably not going to tell is that not only are you not on that side, you're now on this side helping others, but you're
Mhm.
also very well respected in the courts for what you can do.
Yeah.
Talk about a phoenix. I don't care. You need a phoenix shirt. That's what you need.
But I love being able to, I was in the courts last week because I got a phone call from, several previous clients, like of people graduating and I got to go see that. And it's amazing to be able to be a part of that and to watch people find that same freedom that I found. Um, and
What
I know
found
that,
you?
I mean, you see a lot. There's times when, you get attached to somebody or luckily I'm pretty good about setting boundaries and
I'm sure you are.
compartmentalizing things, you know what I mean? I can
Yeah,
compartmentalize really well, but
really well.
um, usually it's the ones that you want to succeed the most that, you watch them fall, several times and before they get it, but all I can do is hope that just one thing that I say, and it might be 10 years from now, but eventually one thing that I say will finally click,
And that they'll be ready to hear it.
and they'll get it and go, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now I get it. You know, same way I did with, like my dad, I understood. Now I understood, and I'm glad that my family was not enabling. You know what I mean? Because I would probably still be out there. Um, I'm glad my sister called CPS on me. You know what I mean? Like she's
Hardest
one of
things,
my
one of the
best,
hardest
like
things.
I mean, she's not just my sister, she's like my best friend, I talk to
Yeah.
her every morning and, either through text message or on the phone. And if we don't, we give each other crap, for
Yeah.
not calling, how amazing is that? You know what I mean? I have
Right.
relationships with people and all these years that I spent being angry with my sister or whatever, like now, like I have a relationship that I never thought I would have. Uh,
Yeah. And she's your most loyal and fiercest supporter.
yeah,
You know, I had to, I was put in a position to make a call with my brother after so many situations, and ultimately that phone call it sent him to prison.
yeah,
And the struggle I had with that. And since then, many times, you know, and when he's sober and clean and, he will say, I
hmm,
understand, thank you. Um, it's a horrific, what is it, a monkey to have on your back,
yeah,
and there, but by the grace of God go I, because
yeah.
we were raised in the same family.
Yeah.
So, um, I know somewhat related, and we don't have to transition yet if it's not comfortable for you, but you've got some things you're going through now. How would you say that your previous battles and what you've been through in your lifetime um, has assisted in what you're going through now?
Oh man, so much.
Really?
Yes. So I was diagnosed back in July with
Wow.
stage 2 breast cancer.
Almost 6 months.
Um, and let me tell you, if it wasn't for me having a program and I know what I would have done. The old me would have went and hid behind a bottle of booze or, gotten high and not gotten the
Scary.
treatment that I needed or not, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah, I walked out when they told me I walked out. I sat in my car and I cried and
Of
I called my
course.
sponsor. Before I even left the parking lot, I called my sponsor before even calling my husband. You know, uh,
Absolutely. That is putting your sobriety first.
yeah, I knew like I was sad, but then it was like, okay, let's do this. Let's suck it up. We got to keep rolling. Um, there are times that, not every day is a good day. There are times when things don't go my way or, I don't feel good or There's even days where I just have emotions around everything, you know? I've lost all my hair, I've lost my eyelashes, I've lost, you know what I mean? All of these
So
things.
difficult.
And it's like, and I love my husband because he lets me feel whatever I need to feel. You know what I mean? He just lets me, he just says, you know what, you tell me what you need. But the old me would have just gotten caught up in the self-pity.
And sabotaged.
Yeah, and I would have sabotaged it until, and then next thing you know, I probably would have had stage four.
You're right.
You
And
know, like
what you're saying, I want to make sure the audience understands and make sure I understand that stage two, but if you didn't feel and express and process that repressed emotion, advances the disease.
yeah, well, yeah, and I would have not gotten the treatment that I needed. I would have just made things worse because that's what I do. That's what we do is that we just let our problems pile up. You know what I mean? And we keep making them worse. And you know, I would have had the mentality of, well, I mean, I have cancer anyways, might as well, you know.
Perfect excuse to go
Yeah,
use. You're
perfect
right.
excuse to go hide behind the alcohol or the drugs or the whatever, you know, and the next thing you know, things are 10 times worse than they would have been in the beginning had I just taken care of them, you know.
Sure.
But
Sure.
today I'm in a place where I don't run. I don't run from
And
things.
this is I would say, one, you've been through HE double hockey sticks, okay? But this is one of the biggest tests. At least my biggest fear is health.
Yeah. And it's like, you know,
The
I know in a few months I'm going to be fine. Yeah, I have to get over some hurdles to get there. You know,
Sure.
I'm going to be fine. Today I just got back from what was supposed to be chemo this morning to find out that they're having to cancel my last two treatments, which is kind of a good thing, but not a bad thing.
Still
Because
gets you in
my
your head.
body is just not. You know, between I just had to have a blood transfusion on Christmas Eve. My body is just not metabolizing the chemo like they want it to, and so it's under attack right now, and so they've just canceled the rest of my chemo
And
for now.
back in the day, I'm speaking out of turn because I don't know for sure, but I think back in the day, they would have just kept going and the level of chemo was a lot higher. They
Yeah,
would,
I think so. But you know, like it's just between my platelets or blood counts, or it's like there's always something, you know what I mean? And so
and
they're
all
like,
that.
okay,
Yeah.
which I had two more treatments left, and then I'm scheduled for surgery sometime February. Um, but now I don't have to, like, I just have to go in for an injection that is supposed to help my immune system to continue fighting the cancer cells. Um, but
So it is bittersweet, I guess.
yeah, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, so you don't know how to feel. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't have to, oh, now I can eat whatever I want again. You know, I don't have all
Mhm.
the side effects of the chemo. Um, but my body's still trying to fight it. My metabolism, you know, my bone marrow is just in shock right now. You know, there's just all these things that it's like it kind of you don't know how to feel really about it. It's like good and bad, I guess. I don't know. Uh,
I've been watching a lot of the stuff on my Gaia app. I don't know if you've heard of Gaia.
mm-mm.
And it's amazing the stuff, but this one video, I highly recommend the series to people. It's called Heal, Heal, and it shows the powerful effects of visualization and meditation. Do you engage in any of that? I'm not trying to slip a suggestion in on there because I know people can really get heavy with the suggestions.
Yeah, no, I do. I'm a big believer in prayer meditation. Like I have to get up every morning and at least spend, and don't get me wrong, because it's some days it's hard for me because my mind is wired to I get up, I hit the ground running.
Running,
What
yeah,
I mean?
same.
And so sometimes I get in my car and I'm like, dang it. Okay. So I meditate on the way to work. I remember, I think it was just 2 years ago, I think. I don't know. I called my sponsor one day and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm this many years sober and my life should look this way. And, my prayer and meditation should look this way. And she started laughing at me.
Mahatma Gandhi over here.
Yeah. And I was like, but it's not, what am I missing? Like, I can't even focus anymore. And I can't, I get to meditating and my mind can't focus and I drift and, then I have to reel myself back in. And she's like, okay, Aunt.
Because you needed to keep from hitting that car if you're doing it
Yeah,
on the way to
she's like,
work.
like you're looking at it all wrong.
Yeah.
Just don't drift down to the stories. She goes, but I like how you think that your sobriety and your life and everything should look a certain particular way, And so this year with all of this news, it's been a little hard because it's like um I got diagnosed with breast cancer. I'm about to celebrate my 10 years. I'll be turning 50 after that. But you know what? Like, here
It's
we are. It
miraculous.
is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, let's keep going. Let's burn through this. Let's get to the other side.
Well, and what is being being made very aware of is what a reminder you are to people. You always have. It's almost like you came into this world to be a beacon for people by example of what you're going through. Because even on Christmas Eve, there was a few complaints around me, and I said, "You want to talk about gratitude? Let me tell you about gratitude." You know, Lori just had a conversation with me sitting there with her sister who's sitting up getting chemo at 8 o'clock this morning. Like that's gratitude.
Yeah, like here's one thing, and I think even through the addiction, even through, I've always been the type, now more than ever, but I've always kind of had the mentality of there's always something good, even in the worst things, right? A lesson to be learned, there's always something good that you can find in it if you look hard enough, right?
Always.
Always. And so I always have to find that good. You know what I mean? I have to find that good. Whatever it is that is making me go through this right now, you know what I mean? Um, there's something to be learned in there, maybe God's telling me I need to be more patient. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like,
Or just an example to others of,
yeah, maybe God is telling me that, like I can get, and here's what's funny is when I first got diagnosed, my first response, I mean, after the crying and everything was over with, my first response was, you know what, you've got this. You've been through way harder than this.
and that is no lie. I'll never forget, not to take it back there, but
Yeah.
I remember Lori calling me and being so worried because you'd been missing for several days and that wasn't you. Do you
Yeah.
remember that? You're like,
Uh,
which time?
how much time?
You were found in Dallas.
Yeah.
Um, in the not so good parts. And I remember her just feeling so much relief, but and myself too, because I feel like, you're like a sister to me. And plus it's very close to my own brother's situation, very, very
Yeah.
close. Like I think he's been in 15 treatment centers and has flatlined at least 8 or 9 times.
Yeah.
And, a miracle walking. I do believe he's signed up for the same kind of lifetime, of being an example to others. And because he's he's in jail now, but the lives he touches while inside
Hmm.
is amazing. Amazing. Believe it or not, making people laugh just like you do.
Well, it's funny because, even though I was having, I was telling myself that I had this little birdie on my shoulder, just in my ear going, but have you really been through things harder than this? That little doubt trying to sink its way in. And I'm like, oh no, no. you're
If
not
you
doing,
haven't, I don't know who is.
you know what I mean? You're not doing this. But one thing I know is that, like, if I need to cry, I allow myself that time to cry. If I need to, because if I hold it in, it will eat me alive. And again, like I know, I mean, it's not the end of the world. Yes, it's horror, it sucks, but it's not the end of the world. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. By the end of next year, we'll be having a whole different conversation. Uh,
Yes, having made it to 50 and beyond, 10 years clean and sober, uh, a pretty amazing husband. Don't tell him I
yeah,
said that.
I will.
A house, you have stable lodging that is beautiful. I mean, that's just the stuff I know about. And you're pretty amazing in your job as well.
Yeah,
So I think, and myself, I'm holding myself accountable here. I'm gonna sit down after this recording, this podcast, and and write down my blessings because there's a tendency for us to see what needs to be fixed. I
yeah,
certainly can do that. And there's so much I have to be grateful for.
yeah. Yeah, a friend of mine got me a gratitude meditation book for Christmas. And it's just
Oh,
like a four
nice.
minute gratitude list that I can do every day. And
Every
I
day.
love it. I think it's great because, we go through the day and sometimes we forget what to be grateful for, and
I have my dry erase board right here that I can see, that I can see it first thing in the morning. I am blessed because,
yeah,
you know, and just write down, the things that I feel on the daily. I feel pretty secure. I feel peace.
yeah.
That's something that many never get,
Mhm.
you know, regardless, the bills are paid today.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Bills are paid. Might be broke tomorrow, but the bills are paid
I don't
today,
feel broke, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
my lights are still on. I have food in my house, but
So, a couple more questions. What has been your biggest surprise going through the chemo, the changes in your body from others?
actually I think it's how well I take it. Um, everybody goes, "You okay? You okay?" And
You're
I
like,
don't,
how do I answer that?
yeah, and I'm like, I mean, I'm good. And they're like, "Okay," and I'm like, "No, I mean, I'm
Like,
good.
how
What
are
do
you
you want
supposed to
me to
answer that?
say?" Yeah.
That would be hard for me because it's like, don't see me as a victim because I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm an
Yeah,
overcomer.
I don't like I'm still a normal person. I'm still, I don't know about normal, but still a person,
Yeah,
I'm still the same person I was before. Just with less
absolutely.
hair. But I think that's the biggest shock, is that, and I keep going. As
You really
tired as I
do.
am sometimes, like, as a matter of fact, day after Christmas. I took my tree down. I was on a mission. I took my tree down, cleaned my house, all because my husband had bought me a new shelf to put my Legos on. But had to get that up and put up, but I couldn't do it. And so I was on a mission, to get everything done and did it all by myself. And I was like, man, that felt good. And then
Yeah,
afterwards there was the crash. But I think it surprises people. I think it's kind of just built in me and into who I am. I have to keep going. And so I think that surprises people sometimes that I keep going. I'm still working. I'm still, you know what I mean? And
that's how you keep your normalcy going.
yeah, yeah, I have to. Of course, I still drive my husband nuts, I have to.
That's who he was attracted to, though. So if you weren't like that, it would worry him, you
Yeah.
know.
So I think he might be a little excited now that they have announced, they're canceling my last two chemo sessions because
Sure.
he's tired of hearing nothing tastes good, nothing sounds good to eat, nothing.
Yeah, I'm sure you're tired of it too.
Yeah.
So, what is the first thing you want to eat that you haven't been able to eat?
Um, I mean, my first go-to is always some really good Mexican food.
Yeah.
Love it. You know what I mean? Uh,
Taste buds are going to come back.
yeah, I haven't been able to eat anything spicy through any of this. I haven't been
Oh
able
my
to,
goodness. Me and my
yeah.
jalapenos, I would lose. I would,
Oh
yeah.
no, I haven't been able to, like, I have to say no to all of those things right now. And so, um, in a few weeks, I think hopefully I'll be able to eat all that, um, eating with regular silverware.
I'm
Because
really curious to see how your hair comes back.
I am too. I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared it's going to come in all gray. I don't know if I'm quite ready for that, but
That's always your choice, right? But I could see like some curly salt and pepper would look so good on you.
so yeah, if I could, I was always jealous of my sister for the curly hair. She got the good hair. Mine was just thin.
Oh
Uh,
no, your hair is
so
gorgeous.
mine
Your hair is
was
gorgeous. I love it.
thin, but and I keep telling my husband, I said, as soon as it's long enough, I'm gonna go get me some extensions. And he's like, no, you're not.
You're like, hide and watch. Hide and watch. He's funny.
I'm like, I'm gonna just do it all up. I'm gonna get the fake eyelashes, the fake
Do the
extensions,
bouffant.
everything.
Do the
Yeah,
lips,
do lips. I'm gonna
and
walk around here looking like Dolly Parton.
they're gonna enter the room before you do. I swear. A renewed sense of life. I love that so much. Cheri, you've really blessed so many. I have many therapists and some LCDCs too. And I'm more than positive, lots of those who are in recovery and maybe even some, hopefully, who, not that I hope that they're not in recovery, but that they get to hear your story of overcoming. And there's not enough time to share the things that you have gone through and come
Yeah,
back from. You've come back from more than 80 or 90% have ever even walked through
yeah.
and still going and miraculous. And so thank you for blessing so many, not just here, but all over the world.
So thank you.
Um, you're truly a blessing, and I'll quit making you uncomfortable now because you don't like all that focus. But you're amazing. Happy 10, happy 50, happy life.
Thank you.
I hope you really will celebrate you.
Thank you. I will.
Thank you so much, and thank you everybody for joining. Please like, share, follow, share, get the word out there. There's an addict out there who needs to hear Cheri's story, and someone who's battling cancer who needs to hear Cheri's story. So thank you, Cheri. Any last words?
No, if there's anybody out there that needs help, though, I'm here. So,
Okay. Do you want to share your email address, or do you want them to just message me if they want to get in touch with you?
you can share my email address if you like.
Okay. So it's make sure if I can remember it. Cheri, which is
Uh-huh.
Cheri dot
R
R dot, and here's the hard part, Marroquin, which is it Marroquin
QUIN at
at
gmail.com.
gmail.com. And so if that was too fast, rewind and change the speed and write it down and get in touch with Cheri. Thank you.
All right.
Blessings all.
Thank you.
Take care.